So when I uploaded my video on Thought Slime, I knew that I would get some pushback, and these comments are exactly the type of pushback that I was expecting. So I thought I would reply to them because I'm probably going to get a lot more comments like this. And I just wanted to be able to explain myself in voice because these people don't seem to get it. Their first talking point is that Thought Slime is not serious. Well, guess what? In politics, you're actually supposed to be serious. In fact, if you don't take your politics seriously, that is a major mark of shame. Okay, if your politics are just, this guy's really funny. Haha, look at this guy. Look at this political guy, right? That's terrible. That is terrible because you are undermining people that are actually seriously trying to get things done. Politics is not some goofy game. It is completely serious. And what Thought Slime is doing may be goofy, but it has very serious implications because what he's trying to do is wall people out from anti-imperialists like Caleb Maupin, who I will continue to defend in another video, which I will upload today. So, I don't like Thought Slime. Why defend him if you don't like him, right? Well, he's just supposed to be a backlash against conservative talking points, not claiming anything other than entertainment. Doesn't matter what you claim to be. What you say about political figures has serious implications. And if you're being goofy about it, this would be like, ha ha ha, I'm just juggling this baby, ha ha, over some concrete, ha ha, I'm being so goofy. It's not funny. That's a living baby. That's a living being, and it could get hurt, by what you're doing. It doesn't matter that it's funny. It doesn't matter. There's something very serious here. This person now is being very pessimistic, right? Your idea of social issues are just deck chairs on the Titanic is downright insulting. Well, let me explain my Titanic analogy. I actually think we can avoid the iceberg. And what you're doing is trying to worry about the deck chairs on the Titanic when we can actually go and steer the ship. The problem is that people are asleep at the wheel. That's the problem. Or maybe not asleep at the wheel, but you get the point, okay? We know which way to steer the ship. It's just that the ship is not going that way. It's going towards the iceberg. It hasn't hit it yet. And you are arguing about the deck chairs on the Titanic. And look, I'm not going to see the end of capitalism in my lifetime. Neither are you. Okay, how do you know that? Like literally, how do you know that? And that this is just like, if I can improve mine and other lives right now, I am going to do that, even if it delays your fictional future. You're not explaining why there's going to actually be some kind of change in your direction and not mine, right? But the reason why is because this trans stuff is coming from the establishment. And I'm not saying that makes it wrong, but this anti-capitalism is not coming from the establishment. The trans stuff is coming from the establishment. And that is why this trans stuff is going to get traction while anti-capitalism seemingly doesn't. But the thing is that with trans issues, there's no point of rupture at which there's going to be a huge number of people that suddenly cause a great shift in politics and a great cataclysmic, catastrophic shift in political change, tantamount to the destruction and unraveling of the capitalist state, which could occur very suddenly. It could occur very suddenly. It's a different type of change. And these trans issues, there's a lot of people that are going to just push against them. And over time, you're going to gradually try to shift the opinion in your favor. It's not something like this cataclysmic event that we have to prepare for, right? It's a different type of change. So I think that you're making the mistake of thinking that these two issues, these social issues, trans issues, and this massive economic shift away from an imperialist system towards a productive system, you're making a mistake in thinking that these are somehow comparable to each other when they actually are not comparable with each other. They actually have very little to do with each other. And I think that the sooner people can recognize that, the more effectively they're going to actually unite Americans towards a common goal rather than dividing them on issues like trans rights, right? And so here I'm saying, right? Thought Slime is very serious. What he's doing is kind of like a Squid Game. He's kind of like a killer clown. Yeah, he's goofing around saying, haha, this idea is stupid. This idea is wrong. You should just be woke instead, and then you have your own stupidity, right? We can all be romantically, looking at Thought Slime and going, haha, look at this idiot. He's proposing we do this and that. Haha, anybody can do what he does. Anybody can do what he does. It's not a constructive thing that he's doing, right? And what he's doing ultimately is trying to get people to be more extreme in his direction. He kind of hints at insurrection or hints at, things that are much more serious and much more drastic. He's trying to stir up hatred for certain groups, and when the shit hits the fan, the result of that hatred is not going to be pretty, and it could result in a lot of people dying. It really could. So I think that Thought Slime is actually very serious, despite his playful appearance. I really do. And I'm not sitting in the muck thinking, oh, there will never be an end to capitalism. I mean, I don't think that it's necessarily helpful to call for the end of capitalism compared to calling for the state to serve the people above the interests of capital, right? That's what is really much, much more important than the end of capitalism, because capitalism, in a sense, has already ended because it is not the dictates of what is the most profitable which is determining the entire economy. Yes, profitability is a major, major part of the economy, especially at the lower levels of the economy, right? But what is fundamentally determining the mode of production may not be capital and profit anymore, not so much as sustaining the position of people who got there by being capitalistic and seeking profit, right? So in a sense, capitalism has already ended, and even in a socialist system, capitalism still prevails in its own way, right? The laws of value don't simply vanish by decree. Capitalism is still the philosophy of any private sector, which can and will exist under an American communist system, right? Their philosophy is capitalism, and it's not going to simply end, right? That's the end of capitalism is not the change that I'm calling for. And I think that a lot of people make this mistake in calling for the end of capitalism because they are substituting what is really going on for the word capitalism. But when other people hear the word capitalism, what are they going to think? They're going to think that you're calling for the end of economic growth and prosperity and the desire to have private innovation, pretty much. This thing that's actually quite useful, private innovation, is actually quite useful. And, I'm not striving to end private innovation. More, I'm striving to get the tyranny right now of the bankers, get the tyranny of the financial bourgeoisie, get them off of everybody else. Get them off of everything else. Again, you're just kind of repeating yourself, right? And you're saying that my critiques, I'm just pretending that it's a fight for economic liberation. Well, you have to change minds before you do anything. So you're thinking kind of anarchistically. Believe me, I've been aware of this type of thinking, and I was part of the real movement for years, right? And sure, I didn't do the most charity work. Some people did a lot more mutual aid or direct action than me. I was more just organizing social media, and sometimes I would show up to protests. But what I realized was that the number of minds that were changing is actually very, very small working in real life. And that's the only thing we can do is change minds. We're not building alternative economic power structures. I think we actually maybe should build alternative economic power structures and work with small businesses even, or large businesses if they want to join us, right? I think we absolutely should try to acquire our own land and resources and factories and all of this as much as we can. But, that is not what people really mean when they're talking about the real way to fight for, this so-called economic liberation. What people are talking about is going to work for soup kitchens and this kind of thing so they can feel better about themselves and claim that they're part of the real movement when in reality, they're just doing things in real life that are good, but they're not going to actually change people's minds, which is what is so important right now, right? And I say, why try to take me down? Because you are trying to take me down. You absolutely are, right? Spoken like a true YouTuber with nothing meaningful to add. Not 200 subscribers in, and you've already bought the poison. Excuse me, I have almost 300 subs, and I've only been in the game for a few months, so you just wait, okay? I'm telling you, you just wait, because I know there's people that are very hungry for my voice and very hungry for my perspective. Okay, I'm not nobody. I'm not nobody, right? And finally, we just have another comment, which I'm going to be a little more lighthearted here because all of this is important stuff to me, right? But this is just funny, okay? I'm Princess Nasty. Ugh, Princess Nasty. I don't know. I don't like a name, Princess Nasty, but okay. Thought Slime is insufferable, but they aren't deluding themselves into thinking nor pretending that the goal of their content was to bring out revolutionary action or have any significant real-world impact. Well, Thought Slime's content is having a real-world impact, so it doesn't matter what he says. He is actually doing a lot of stuff. Lucy and Matt have very clearly laid out how weird and super reactionary you're being about this. Oh no, I'm being weird? No, I'm being super reactionary. Oh no, okay, listen. I don't really care if people think that I'm being a little weird because I'm very serious about what I'm doing, right? So if I'm trying to actually achieve something, some people who don't understand what I'm trying to achieve, they don't understand what I'm working towards, they're going to go, okay, this is a little weird. Why is he obsessing over some random internet comment by Princess Nasty, for example? What's the point, right? Well, the point is that there's going to be people that come in, what you're doing, you're so weird. I don't get it. Well, sorry that you don't get it. A lot of people do get it. And super reactionary. Well, I think you're the reactionary because when we have a fresh political line, which is trying to unite people based on common issues, and you're trying to divide people against each other and tell anybody who says, don't divide people against each other, don't reinforce a leftist clique mentality, you're being reactionary. Well, I think you're the one being reactionary because I have long entertained the leftist clique mentality. I've had it. I did have it in the past. And I will never have it again because that's exactly what it is, a clique mentality. It has nothing to do with reality, actually. Has nothing to do with reality. And it is not an entirely harmless YouTube channel that just happens to exist. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You're literally just upset that Thought Slime doesn't make the kind of impact-oriented content you wish they did and being over the top dramatic about it. Thank you. Thank you. I am impact-oriented. I am a little bit over the top dramatic. I try not to go too far, but I want to get people watching to wake up. Wake up, okay? Wake up, get my point. Don't, I'm not screwing around, okay? representing this is some sort of actual legitimate problem that's bringing on the left and somehow getting in the way of actual impactful efforts to make progress, which it absolutely is, again, by attacking people like Caleb Maupin, by attacking even a lot of people on the right actually want to fight for progressive political change and what they believe is right. And you're operating on the base assumption, based in your leftist clique mentality, that whatever leftists want is right and whatever conservatives want is inherently wrong. And you're wrong about that. There is nothing inherently right or wrong about what leftists and conservatives are fighting for. That is your subjective viewpoint. And Thought Slime is trying to take down these people. You're simply saying they're wrong. Well, I think that Thought Slime is pretty much just attacking easy targets. He's attacking people that have already, in the eyes of mainstream, like, liberal Democrats, basically, already are bad people. And he's just beating them up a little bit more in this sort of goofy, playful way. It's just whack. Also, just as a general note, unrelated to Thought Slime, it shouldn't be the main focus, but the left should never, under any circumstances, abandon or otherwise compromise minority groups like trans people. Okay, well, guess what? A lot of the people that are against trans things, okay, consider this devil's advocate, because I'm not super pro or anti-trans. But the fact of the matter is, they see themselves as defending women. They see themselves as defending culture and tradition, which are real. They're not fake. They're not made up. Culture and tradition are real. And a lot of things, like the Bible says, you should not dress as the opposite sex. You should not. And why would it say that, right? Why would it say that? The Bible, it's not arbitrary, okay? These are rules and codes that have made societies in the past. And this is real wisdom. It could be wrong, okay? Maybe you have your reasons why it's actually worse to forbid cross-dressing than it is to allow it, right? And I know being trans is not the same as cross-dressing, but it's the Bible, you have to interpret it in your own way, right? And that's, I'm not saying that the Bible's right about this. I'm just saying, like, there are actual things that are being defended because they see trans issues and pro-trans stuff as an attack on this. I mean, even look at that, school teacher, for example, with her gigantic prosthetic breasts that she had on in front of students, right? This is like an attack on the psyche of the students. Really, it is. And it's hurting their minds, because we don't expect to see these kind of things, right? And when you get this sort of unexpected, like, sexuality, it does a certain thing to people's minds, which causes them to feel, some of the students are going to develop a fetish for, like, giant breasts, or they're going to, like, it's going to mess with their sexual psychology. Some of the students are going to feel this just sense of dread and disgust, which is going to negatively psychologically affect them for a long time. And these are developing minds, meaning that these are the foundations of their mind. Okay, you need to understand, when somebody is a teenager, these are the foundations of their mind being laid down. And to change these foundations that you've built up as a child and as a teenager, as an adult, when you know better, it's possible, but it's hard to do. It's hard to do, and it can almost look like you're going insane. So yes, I do actually think that this teacher's breasts are not simply, look, from an adult eye, you can maybe see them for what they are, right? As some type of sexual performance, maybe like a drag show or something. Like, you can see it for the fact that it's very odd and goofy and not interpreted this way. But for a teenage mind, it's extremely dangerous and extremely harmful. And the reason I'm fixating on this in particular is because a lot of people are defending this. And I just think that this idea that pushing trans issues is simply defending oppressed people, and that it has nothing to do with, the fact that it could hurt women, or undermine women, or this idea that it could hurt or undermine young minds, right? This is completely wrong. This is completely wrong. And that's why I'm a social moderate, because I don't think that it's possible to make an objective cost-benefit analysis on these type of issues. And furthermore, I think that even if you firmly are anti-trans or firmly are pro-trans, if you go into politics pushing one way or the other way, what you're going to do is get a lot of people to hate you. You're not going to unite people. You're not going to rebuild a real movement. You are choosing a hill to die on that is going to ultimately lead to your failure. So that is my response to some of these comments, and I hope that this clears things up a little bit.